is invading your airwaves. Be on the lookout.
Geeks and gamers.
Hello, sports fans. It's Bryson here, your host for this wonderful episode of the Sports Wars podcast. Joining me here today is a group of guys that really don't need an introduction. David LaRock, Roy Morgan, Jeremy Greggs. Fellas, how's everything going with you guys?
Nerve-wracking holidays and last-second football.
I got everything I wanted for Christmas.
In what way?
I'm sure we'll get into that.
What did you say, Jeremy?
It was a great weekend. Star Wars came out. We've been fighting online about it. I'm still fighting online as we speak. So if you hear any few pauses from me, that's because I'm tied up in an argument on Facebook, as always.
Oh, is that what you're doing over there?
Yep.
I was wondering what you're doing. Yeah, you've been spitting out videos left and right about everything about that.
Yeah, I mean, that's all we've been doing on the YouTube channel lately is talking about this movie because it is an extremely divisive movie. And it's creating a lot of awesome debates, which I love. So I'm all for it.
I suck at debates, but I contribute when I can.
You're a great host.
Thank you. I really appreciate that.
Except for the fucking dad jokes.
I love my little dad jokes. Pat loves it too, whether he likes it or not.
I can hear Pat rolling his eyes 3 days in the future right now.
True that.
All right, so let's get into some news, shall we? Our first topic here. After being officially eliminated from the playoffs on Monday, the Packers have decided to play things safe and place Aaron Rodgers on IR for the remainder of the season. And Coach Mike McCarthy said Aaron wasn't really happy about the decision, of course. So, David, I'm going to start with you, buddy. I know how bad you were stressing about this on last week's pod. Smart move by the Packers or what?
It's the only move to make. I mean, unless he's going to play secondary or linebacker, it doesn't matter. I'm pretty sure I was the only one that picked Carolina to win. Was I on last week's pod? Yeah, like I said, there was no way they were going to make wild card. Their schedule's too tough. If he didn't die against Carolina, he was going to die against Minnesota. The team's not good, and people just think Aaron Rodgers can be plucked in. I mean, granted, they still had a chance. Don't get me wrong. But, I mean, the season – if they would have lost to the Browns, this never would have happened. He never would have came back. So, it does – yeah, shelve him. Green Bay can tank, get a better draft pick, whatever. Doesn't matter. I mean, it kills fantasy title hopes if you had Rodgers or Cobb or fought about,
Well, I mean, with the as far as fantasy football with Aaron Rodgers actually got me into my fucking final. I picked him up 4 weeks ago and stashed him on IR, and then his first game back, I threw him in there. Fuck those 3 interceptions, but he still got me 30 points.
Sure.
So, and then I just put him right back down on IR. Well, at this point, I just dropped him. So
yeah,
he did what he needed to do. But
sure.
I'm actually with LaRock here. I mean, what was the fucking point of him even playing last week? What's the best case scenario of him playing at 60% last week was that they win only to then go have to face Minnesota's defense, where where he left his collarbone in Minnesota the last time. So I mean, there was no plus to this. I don't understand why he even played last week. Who knows how many snaps he took off of his career by taking those hits in Carolina. This is the only move. What's the point of marching him out there for the next 2 meaningless games? Improve your draft picks and do something. Get some kind of talent around him. Draft a wide receiver. Draft a running back. Draft somebody that can block. Draft defense. I mean,
defense would help.
Jeremy, do you think it was more so of a desperation kind of thing by the Packers, or just want to see what he could do?
I mean, it was a fine move. I mean, these guys are speaking after the fact like they love to do. The fact is, Packers had a chance to make the playoffs mathematically. In theory, Aaron Rodgers at a 65-70% gives you a better chance to win than anybody on the roster. So they took a chance, and they almost won the fucking game. It's not like they almost won the game. Aaron Rodgers made a few unlike Aaron Rodgers passes. I think that 3 interceptions is the most he's ever had in a game, so he tied his career high. So if he doesn't make one of those interceptions, then there's a good chance Green Bay may have squeaked by in that game. And then you move forward. You don't know what's going to happen week to week. So if you have a mathematical shot to make the playoffs, you put your best foot forward. That's what happened. They didn't win. So now they've made the decision. Now that we're mathematically pretty much done, we're going to pull this guy, let him heal up. We're going to, go move forward with let Hundley finish the season out. It makes perfect sense. But yeah, it's easy after the fact to talk about that. But under the circumstances, they made the right move. It just didn't work out.
Now, I didn't watch the game. Was those 3 interceptions because it was just a bad throw, or was it because he was still hurting from his collarbone?
I mean, probably a combination of both. I mean, it doesn't help that his O-line is trash and Carolina's front 4 is legit. I mean, Kuechly was balling out. Davis, which ironically he's suspended for the next 2 games. But, Carolina's got playmakers. And you don't want a unhealthy Aaron Rodgers running around. He took a lot of unnecessary hits that he shouldn't have.
No.
I actually agree with LaRock again. Holy shit, this is a record so far.
2 for 2.
Probably a combination of both. Him not being 100%, which he clearly wasn't. He wasn't 100%.
No.
And then him trying to. Everyone knew that this game was their season, so it was probably a combination of him not being 100% and also trying to press things. And Carolina's defense, give them credit, is solid, and they capitalized on some mistakes that he made. I even before this, I didn't think it was a good look as far as starting him, just because. Like I said, realistically, you have to win. You have to win 3 straight just to get in, just to be cannon fodder in the first round to who? Probably the Rams.
Yeah.
So I didn't like starting him, but I understood why you had to. Because if you don't, you're telling the fan base we're done.
I wish Cleveland would have won, and then
so we wouldn't even have to have this fucking conversation. If Deshaun Kaiser doesn't throw up a duck, if he doesn't throw up a duck, we're not even talking about this.
Yeah.
Well, it's desperation time these last few weeks, so I understand in a way, but I can see it from also David's point of view as well. So let's move on and switch things up a little bit and just talk about a little bit of basketball here. So I don't know if you guys watched that Laker game on Monday night, but the Lakers honored one of the greatest players to ever play the game as they retired the number 8 and number 24 of Kobe Bryant. Whether you love or hate the guy, you can't deny that there will never be another one of his kind. So, Mr. Griggs over there, let me start with you. What do you make of Kobe and his career in the league?
Kobe Bryant's my all-time favorite player, but Kobe Bryant is I hate to say it like this, but he's probably the most overrated player. People overrate the hell out of Kobe. My favorite player. People like to put this dude right next to Jordan. Some people that are too young put him over Jordan. They constantly put him over LeBron.
That's just ignorant.
That is absolute. You don't deserve to talk about sports if you do that. You just pointed to yourself, Bryson. So I'm going to have to fucking get you off this show. Kobe is amazing. I love Kobe. He's borderline top 10 all time, and that's borderline. Yeah, borderline. Look, I only judge players I've seen. Okay, if you have a crystal ball where you can put people like Wilt Chamberlain and all those other guys in your top 10,
up those YouTube
I can't.
Clips
Okay,
of Bill Russell.
But I only judge players I've seen. So based on players I've seen, Kobe Bryant is borderline top 10.
I say top 8.
I would have to – he's definitely not top 5. He's definitely not Jordan, LeBron like people like to put in.
He's the second greatest shooting guard ever.
He is the second greatest shooting guard ever. But,
who's the first?
Oh, shut up.
Seriously?
But, yeah, overall, though, beside all of that, it was a really cool ceremony. And the fact that Magic Johnson says Kobe Bryant's the greatest Laker ever is laughable because Magic Johnson's the greatest Laker ever. And
there's mutual love.
There is. Kobe's awesome.
Magic wasn't gonna shit on his night.
Yeah,
No.
Magic's always claimed Kobe's the greatest, so that's nothing new. But it was cool. I love Kobe. I love seeing him get the accolades he deserves. Both jerseys being retired is pretty cool.
That's super cool.
The only person that's ever trumped that is Michael Jordan getting his jersey retired by the Miami Heat, also a team he never played for. Because that's Jordan. But yeah, it was cool. Kobe's the man. He's the Mamba. I love him. I just wish people wouldn't overrate him so much. So
I'm gonna come at this from the other side of the coin. I fucking hate Kobe. I've always hated Kobe. But I won't deny that he is an all-time great. Just competitiveness is amazing. It's always been. I mean, he chased Shaq out of town because Shaq didn't quote unquote work hard enough. He could have easily just kind of balled out and for the Lakers in anonymity for all those years after, but he went out and got 2 more rings. I dislike Kobe, but I do respect him. So I mean, he absolutely deserved to have his numbers retired. He is an all-time Laker great. I understand what Greek's saying. I put him borderline top 10 as well. But I mean, it's Kobe. He deserved it, and congratulations to him, and he can retire in peace now. Knowing Kobe, he's probably hustling on some playground in Los Angeles or Philadelphia for rolls of quarters just because his competitiveness can't sit down somewhere.
David?
So I actually had a phone call. A buddy of mine was like, hey, did you watch the ceremony, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, it's extremely sad for the fact that, like, our generation, we grew up with that. And the fact that now all these greats that we watched when we were younger are retiring, and it just makes you feel so much older. Like, I don't feel like I'm 32, 33, but Duncan's retiring. Kobe retired. Nowitzki's retiring.
Yeah, dude. I remember watching Duncan at Wake Forest. Like not footage, not film, not YouTube clips. Live games of him at Wake Forest.
It's depressing in the fact that I'm actually getting that older, and this generation isn't going to see that. It's kind of.
I kind of understand where my dad feels now. Like my dad grew up like. One of his favorite players growing up was Bob Greasy, quarterback for the Dolphins. Love Bob Greasy. And one of the first times me and him actually sitting there watching football together was one of the first college games me and him watched together was Brian Greasy from Michigan. And that was kind of my dad's, oh shit, I'm getting old moment.
Yeah.
And now I'm seeing guys. Yeah. Now I'm seeing guys like Georgia has a running back. I forget his first name, but his last name is Holyfield. He is Evander Holyfield's son.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And it's crazy. And like I remember when Evander was the champ. I mean, and now he's old enough to have grandkids. And it's
crazy.
It's the times catching up with all of us.
I got a question. So I haven't been watching basketball as long as you guys, so of course. I think I only maybe watch
apparently ever, if you have to ask who the fucking first greatest shooting guard or the greatest shooting guard is.
Well, jeez. because I like poking the anthill there and piss off David. I think I only watched Kobe's last 5 years, playing wise. Why did he switch jerseys numbers?
After the rape case.
Is that why?
Yeah. Clean start.
Nobody. There were very few people were buying that number 8, but I mean, the 24 of the sales picked up really quick.
Yeah, that, and he didn't want to do 23, and he'll never admit it, but 24 is higher than 23, so he was gunning for that. So, I mean, what's funny is you got to actually watch mental peak Kobe, where he transformed his game when his physical abilities disappeared, just like Mike did, like the fadeaway, like that's just it's stupid, and the footwork.
Yeah. I like how he puts his whole body into that fadeaway too. It's like he kicks it out in front of him.
I mean,
and now we're actually witnessing that with LeBron. We're watching the mental aspect
slowly.
Yeah, well, I mean, he's always been one of the smartest guys on the court, but now he's letting the game kind of come to him, and it's like fucking Neo in the Matrix and shit.
Yeah.
And I mean, he's still got. I mean, for a 33-year-old guy, I mean, he's still got some really good physical tools. But now the mental aspect is kind of starting to overtake that, and it's that to me that's the best part to watch. I mean, sure, 100%. I mean, athletic Jordan is amazing. Jordan jumping from the free throw line is awesome. Jordan picking apart the fucking Jazz in the finals during that last stretch in Chicago.
It's shooting nothing but 15 and 18 footers.
Yeah, it's. I mean, watching that, it's like it's watching fucking Beethoven. It's watching. I mean, it's watching a guy at the absolute top of his game, mentally destroying everyone around him.
Sounds kind of familiar, huh?
Oh shit! Here we go.
Sounds like Brady.
I was going to say, that's a good segue. Is that next topic, Bryson?
No, we're still on the basketball subject.
But I mean,
Ah,
it's fun to watch. I know a lot of guys get wrapped up in that the physical aspect of watching LeBron chase down blocks and watching Kobe do the 360 layups and watching Jordan do the hanging in the air from the free throw line bullshit. It's the fadeaway jumpers. It's the smart pass. It's the finding the open man. I mean, that kind of shit is what separates. That's what separates the good guys from the great guys.
So yeah, I remember watching. I think when Kobe won his 5th ring. I think he has 5 rings, right?
yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was his last one that he got, and I remember it was when Derek Fisher was on the team too.
Yep.
Yeah, that's his
Yeah,
spotty.
He
spotty, I
won.
remember.
Yeah, he won his first 3 with Shaq, and then he ran Shaq out of town, and he won his last.
After he strong-armed Laker ownership, he told them it was either going to be Shaq or it was going to be me, and he decided against going to the Clippers the day after Shaq was traded to Miami.
Okay, I have a question about that too, because like I said, I've been watching as long as you guys, so I have the whole Shaq thing. Did he win those rings because of Shaq, or
No.
Okay.
No.
Hold on, now the first 1 or 2, Shaq was the most dominant fucking player in the league.
Yes, he was. In 2000, that 2001 Apex Shaq was amazing. But go rewatch that Sacramento series. They do not win unless Kobe's there. Shaq fouls out. And Kobe,
but the question is not. I'm not saying he won them because of Shaq, but I'm saying who was the more. If it's 51-49, who's the more important piece to that equation?
in the early 3, Shaq.
Yeah. So, I mean, but it's really close. I mean, you can go back to – I remember back in those days when it felt like Shaq and Kobe even had tension. Even Shaq came out and said, like, Kobe Bryant's the best basketball player in the world, and it's not even close. Like, I mean, Kobe was crazy, crazy phenomenal back then. But it was very mutual. I mean, Kobe was the better player, I think. Shaq was the most dominant player by far that I've ever seen.
Yeah, that 2001 Shaq, that will never be duplicated.
Yeah, but Kobe was the best player in the league. Kobe was the LeBron of that time, and so it was.
And he did that after sheer athleticism.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's part of what kind of drove the wedge between Kobe and Shaq is Kobe was so like
alpha dog.
Working on, but he was also like he was always trying to get better, and Shaq
would show up fat.
Yeah, at that point, Shaq would show up. But see, Shaq would show up and score 30 points.
But
I think that's been kind of the root of the problem. With Kobe's got. I mean, we all know Kobe's got the rap of being a bad teammate. Whether it was Dwight Howard or Shaq or Karl Malone, that whole shit case that happened there. But if Kobe thought you were working as hard as him, Kobe fucking respected you.
Yep.
And I mean there's a reason Derek Fisher stuck around for as long as he did with Kobe. I mean, wasn't Derek Fisher part of? I mean, I know he's part of the last class. Two.
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
I believe he was the same draft class.
I thought he was the year after.
I thought they came in at the same time. But I mean, either way, it was super close.
Yeah, I mean, there's a reason that Derek Fisher. I don't think Kobe got a ring without. I mean, either without Shaq or without Derek Fisher. One of those guys were on the team every time Kobe got a ring.
I was thinking Paul Gasol. That's why.
Yeah, Paul Gasol was there for the last 2.
Yeah,
and he was he was a great piece for what needed Kobe to put him over the edge.
Yeah, I mean, let's say what you can. Like I said, I dislike Kobe mainly because that. I mean, he does have the reputation of being an asshole, but then again, what superstar player doesn't? I mean, Mike is a notorious asshole. Michael Jordan is. He's one of the biggest assholes on the planet. This is a guy who punched a teammate in practice.
Yep.
So, that competitiveness is just. I mean, the greats have it.
And while we're talking about basketball, I want to bring up something about the Thunder. And the reason why I want to bring that up is when I was looking for, topics to talk about on this pod for tonight, I saw several articles, including on Bleach Report, saying that if OKC continues their struggle, there's a chance they could trade Paul George. Now, George is shooting below 41% from the field this season, which is the worst of his career. But despite having one of the best defenses in the league, the Thunder's dysfunction on offense has left a lot of people in Oklahoma City looking for answers. And there was even a Western Conference executive that told Bleacher Report that, quote, it's basically a three-man circus. They don't play well together. There's no ball movement and no chemistry. You can tell by watching them play. It's out of sync. There's no rhyme or rhythm to how they play. Now, Roy, if this turns out to be true, do you think it will solve some of their problems if they trade away Paul George?
Paul George isn't the problem. I think Paul George is he could be I think he could be a very good complementary piece to Russ. The problem is it's
the problem is Russ.
Russ,
yes.
I mean
Carmelo.
The problem is
Carmelo.
Russ.
No, it's not.
Okay, if the team was Paul George and Carmelo Anthony, are they a playoff team?
No.
They were a playoff team with just Russ last year.
I'm just Carmelo at this point. Carmelo is so beyond prime Melo that he's almost an afterthought.
Because Carmelo is not, for some fucking reason, he will not accept that he is no longer an alpha. He is not. He is a B player at best.
100%. But that's not the issue.
Why do you think that everybody kept saying throughout the summer, oh, LeBron and Carmelo are buddies? Why was there zero trade rumors about LeBron trying to bring in Carmelo?
Because he played with him before.
Knows.
Yes, 100%. I mean, you could be great friends at like camp or like a work function, but when you see them outside of work, you're like, I don't really want to hang out with you anymore. Yeah.
Carmelo is the problem. Carmelo is the problem.
The problem is Russ.
The difference Paul George is even being shopped is because he's the only
asset they have.
He's the only movable piece. Nobody is taking Melo.
And nobody can take Westbrook.
Well, they've staked their franchise to Westbrook.
Well, congrats. And he will forever get triple doubles and dunk as hard as he possibly can and fill seats in OKC.
They'll make it to the first round of the playoffs with Russ by himself. But I mean, Carmelo is absolutely the problem. The team isn't working. Carmelo's a black hole when it comes to passing the ball. You try to move. There's no ball movement. I think Paul George and Westbrook could work together. But like we were just saying, you can't move Melo. Well, I mean, George is the only movable piece. And if you move George, you're essentially blowing it up.
I mean, I've watched one game just to see what everyone's talking about. And I watched it.
It's a fucking train wreck.
Yes. It's like me when you tell me to play basketball with you, David.
It's kind of like me trying to play soccer. Like, it's just not going to work.
It's just not going to work. Jeremy, what do you think about all this? You have to unmute your mic, buddy.
Sorry, my dogs are barking. I think it's Carmelo Anthony, and it's obvious to anybody with two eyes and a little bit of common sense. And I mean, clearly you need to watch Star Wars, I guess, to gain some common sense, LaRock.
Yes,
it's not that hard to figure out. Like name one franchise that Carmelo Anthony has turned into a perennial winning team and given them a chance to win a championship. Name one.
Cornroll, Denver Nuggets.
They didn't do shit.
I mean, they won at Western Conference, but whatever.
What did he do? If that's your claim to fame,
they got to the Western Conference Finals. What, once?
Once.
Yeah, and that was when
rolled by the Lakers.
Didn't they have Billups that year?
Yeah.
So,
I think they had Billups, they had Iverson. Yeah.
No, I don't think they had Billups and Iverson because Billups and Iverson didn't they get traded for each other at one point?
I don't even remember. All I know is the overall point is Carmelo Anthony has never, ever, ever impacted a team in a positive way to make them a winning team. He's always been someone that didn't get along with coaches. He was never good for the locker room. It's always me. And he's at a point in his career where, yeah, he was once a great player and a great talent. There's no disputing that. he's not that guy anymore, but he can't accept it. And right now what is he? I mean, there's no way he's a top 2 player on that team. Are there any other players that might even be a better option than him? I mean, I don't think so, but he's definitely the 3rd. But the way he plays is such a it creates such a problem for the chemistry on the court. He needs to come off the fucking bench. He needs to be a 6th man. That's what needs to happen. Now, again, I'm not saying that. No, I'm not saying OKC is going to become better than the Warriors or anything like that, but they're going to improve. That's the best case scenario for them to win.
Okay, let me ask you this too. If you're Paul George, okay, would you want to be traded out of there?
Traded? No. Well, it actually doesn't matter because you're a free agent.
He's going to LA next year.
And you're going to hop your happy ass west to Hollywood, make a phone call. Somebody else might be coming with you.
Right now, Paul George is in literally the best situation he could be in because he can't be blamed for it. He's a free agent at the end of the year. And anything that happens for the rest of the season, nobody can pin it on him and go, oh, Paul George, like, dude, I'm playing with Russell fucking Westbrook, who just never, like, he's a ball hog, and Carmelo Anthony, who's an egomaniac. Like, what do you want from me? So, I mean, this is perfect situation for Paul George.
David actually saw Westbrook play live. He said it was like a fucking monster on that court.
Dude, he's fucking phenomenal. But
I love him.
They didn't win the game.
Yeah, I'm not. Again, he's probably my favorite player in the NBA. But I will never I know what he is. You know what I mean? He's not efficient. He's not somebody that you want to build your franchise around. But damn, he's like Ricky Bobby and Talladega Nights, man. I mean, he's just if you ain't first, you're last. I mean, that's just he plays like on the edge all the time, and I love it. But he's not someone you can kind of just trust to get things done when needed most, I guess.
Consistently.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, it's Carmelo. It's
Ross. But either way, whatever.
I'm Russell Westbrook, and if you don't chew Big Red, then fuck you.
And the problem is what's his name? Billy Donovan, head coach. I mean, he doesn't have the cachet to tell Melo to sit his ass down and come up.
No, I mean, because Carmelo's going to go, fuck you, I'm Carmelo.
Right.
And meanwhile, Carmelo's averaging the lowest points he's ever had in his career. He's shooting the lowest shooting percentage in his career.
It's so much ISO ball, it's disgusting.
He is on a team with Paul George and Russell Westbrook, and he is averaging 1.5 assists a game.
Yeah. How much is the team averaging?
Let's see.
I mean, it's like they're there just to,
like it's so much ISO ball. It's like a rec league, church league.
I mean, the team is averaging 20 assists a game. Russ is responsible for half of that.
Shocker.
So, I mean,
Russ is awesome.
Carmelo Anthony. For a while there was arguments over who was better, LeBron or Carmelo. For the first 5 years of their career, there was arguments about who was better.
I mean, Carmelo's a beast.
Carmelo is a fucking mercenary sharpshooter. He's going to get points. Right now, they're trying to pigeonhole him into this offense. But right now, as a starter, he is averaging fewer assists a game than Raymond Felton.
It's a clusterfuck.
I mean, we talked about this before the season started, that it was either going to be really good or it was going to be a train wreck. But either way, it was going to be entertaining. So far, it's been a fucking train wreck, but it's been somewhat entertaining to kind of throw around who's going to be the first one out. More likely, it's going to be George.
It's like a big trend ever since LeBron went to Miami. It's like everyone wants to join up together and bulldoze away from
okay, that shit happened long before LeBron.
No.
Yeah.
It wasn't premeditated. LeBron's was premeditated.
I mean, this wasn't premeditated. The Oklahoma City.
No, yeah. This wasn't. But I mean,
this is along the same lines of. I mean, this was basically worst case scenario when Boston traded for Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen. This is how bad it could have gone.
Yes.
And so, I mean, because you had three guys at that point. You had Pierce, Allen, and Garnett, who had all been alphas on their own team.
Yeah.
And they each kind of accepted their role when they all got to Boston. This is worst case scenario of what could have happened then. But this is, the building a super team thing, it didn't start with LeBron. I mean, Boston did it, I guess, through the front office first. But I mean, hell, it goes back as far as when didn't Barkley orchestrate his way into Houston because he wanted to play with Clyde and Akeem?
Yeah, I mean, they were. I mean, it wasn't like '93 Barkley. Like, I mean, he was just ring searching.
So I mean, this isn't the super team era. Didn't start with LeBron. I mean, sure, he may have perfected it from a player side.
Yeah, but the rules are different when you're LeBron. It's just when you're the greatest athlete on the planet,
Players want to play with you.
No. Then why the fuck did he go to Miami? Why didn't D-Wade come to Cleveland?
Have you been to Miami? Have you been to Cleveland?
Then why did he leave Miami to go back to Cleveland?
Because Pat Riley.
He knew the ownership in Cleveland was shit. And he went back to Cleveland because, I mean,
because Pat Riley
we can debate all day on why he went back to Cleveland.
Well, I'm just telling, like, it was either Jerry Reinsdorf or who was the other owner for the Bulls?
Jerry Krause.
One of those guys said Michael Jordan never ever talked to me about who
because he wouldn't have had the power to.
Dude, Jordan could have done anything he wanted.
The owners back in that collective bargaining agreement, the
Michael. Wait a minute. You're telling me if Michael Jordan would have been petty like LeBron, he couldn't have told the ownership to do something. If they said no, Jordan couldn't have left.
I mean,
yeah, he could have. Okay, but the thing is Jordan wasn't even making those moves because Jordan was just like, I'll beat your ass with whoever you give me. LeBron has the ability to do that too.
If Cleveland gives LeBron a Scottie Pippen type, he never leaves in the first place.
If Scottie Pippen doesn't go to Michael Jordan's team, Scottie Pippen is Kendall Gill. Okay.
Oh, I mean,
so
that's a little
maybe a little low, hard. But he's not Scottie Pippen. But he's not.
Scottie Pippen's still.
I mean, Scottie Pippen's still Scottie Pippen.
He's not. Scottie Pippen's not a great 50 greatest players of all time without Jordan.
Dude, he was actually named one of the 50 greatest players of all time in the NBA.
Yeah, no, I said that. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying, but he's not without Jordan. He's just not. That's like, would you know the name John fucking Paxson if he didn't play for Jordan?
We're talking about apples to bench warming oranges here.
I get it, but I'm just saying it's like Randy Moss, okay? Randy Moss. Dante Culpepper was a Pro Bowler every year. Randy Moss was his quarterback.
And then he blew out his knee.
Because Randy Moss is really good? Like, I don't understand.
Exactly. And Michael Jordan is really good. And Michael Jordan is going to make everyone around him elevated. He's going to elevate their prestige, their play, their everything. Scottie Pippen is a good basketball player. Kendall Gill was
Mario Chalmers an all-star though.
Kendall Gill was a low blow. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Okay.
Kendall Gill was a low blow. Okay. But I'm just saying,
you're not giving my boy Scottie enough credit.
Scottie Pippen would have been more like a lower tier Clyde Drexler in terms of how he would be remembered. Clyde Drexler's remembered as a really good player.
I'll give you that.
But nobody's calling Clyde Drexler like one of the greatest players of all time. So anyway, we have to move on. We're way off topic.
Yeah, I was just about to pause you guys. So basically, to sum up the whole OKC thing, Paul George is just in a great situation. He's just cruising along, and it's either Westbrook or Melo that's the problem.
Melo's the problem.
That's what I got out of this whole conversation.
Sounds good.
LKC's going to shit the bed and fire Donovan and trade George because they know they're losing him anyway.
Pretty much. All right, so that'll do it for the news. So let's get into our rapid fire community questions segment. David's favorite section that I'm starting to see here. All these wonderful questions come straight from our Sports Wars community. Every Monday, Sports Wars admin John Morgan will post a Geek Pulse radio discussion thread where you can submit your questions to us. And be sure to join our Sports Wars group if you haven't yet. So are you guys ready for a little rapid fire here?
It's my favorite section.
Let's do it.
Let's see how bad we can piss you off, David. So here's our first question. Thoughts on Jerry Richardson, who is the Panthers owner, and what's going on with that whole organization? Let me throw it to Roy.
This is bad. Apparently he's settled a number of cases out of court. And it's so bad that they've only issued a statement saying he's selling the team. They haven't even spoken on what the accusations are.
So a little tidbit that I actually read. He has everybody in the organization. They call him Mister. Like that is some 1940s. Like I'm not going to go there, but like you can't even call him by his first name. I mean, you can't even call him boss or owner. It's Mister.
Holy shit! They're not calling him like Mr. Richardson. Like
No, it's Mister.
I thought you meant like Mr. Richardson.
No, Mister. They called him Mister.
Just Mister.
Just Mister. How creepy is that?
Yeah, that's
Our CEO for where I work at. We
Like
just
Geeks
call,
and Gamers?
no.
That dude is also creepy.
At my at the hospital I work at, we just call him Carlton because that's his name. We don't call him boss or Mister. He just goes by Carlton.
Bryson's about to get fired.
He's a really cool guy too, by the way. Next question: best skill position player, meaning either running back, wide receiver, tight end, quarterback, blah 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 blah. Let me go to David.
Like athletic freak.
Easily.
Yes.
This is an easy answer.
Julio.
What?
I don't understand the question.
Who's the most talented position player in the NFL? Running
Yes.
back, wide receiver, tight end, blah, blah, blah. Those position players. Most talented.
I'll give you 5 seconds to figure that out.
Oh, okay. Well, no. Griggs, you go.
Gronk.
Like in the league?
Yes,
Yes.
Gronk is
The-
the most
What
talented
is so hard?
player in
The whole
league.
entire league at either running back, wide receiver, tight end, or quarterback. The best
Okay.
overall.
You know what? I'll actually flip that and say a healthy J.J. Watt. I'll
Okay.
say a healthy J.J. Watt.
Are
on
you
the
just
defensive
trying
side.
to not seem biased to the Patriots? With
I'm
this?
trying. I'm
I
trying.
know. I was waiting for a Patriots guy to get popped up in there. It's
I
like,
mean, it is fucking Gronk. Like, it is fucking unreal. But a healthy J.J. Watt.
Julio's a good answer, though. I won't argue.
I was going to say, I'm going to go with the fucking homer answer. I'm not afraid to do it. It's going to be Julio.
yeah,
I watched him fucking run over DBs on Monday night. Some of the shit he does is crazy. He's fast. He's big. He's strong. I've got nothing against Gronk. Gronk, I think, is a good answer. He just, I just Julio. Julio is just a fucking athletic freak.
Next question. What are the odds of an NFC South NFC Championship game, Jeremy?
NFC. Say that again. NFC South and what?
An all NFC South championship.
Yes.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, I think I said that at the beginning of the year that division is impossible to predict. So yeah, that's absolutely possible. I don't have the numbers in front of me, but yeah, I could totally see that happening.
I could see that too. You know,
Saints are still my number one team going into the playoffs for the NFC right now. So
Right now, the odds kind of favored. I mean, of the six NFC teams in the playoffs, half of them are from the NFC South. So
yeah,
the only downside to that is if the playoffs started today, two of the NFC South teams would play each other in the first round. So you automatically eliminate one to begin with.
I know that kind of throw off my little prediction there. I think it's the Falcons. Oh, not Falcons. It would be Panthers and Saints if it started today. Who would play each other?
The seeding makes it impossible.
Mm-hmm.
does it make it impossible?
Yeah.
I mean, again, we don't have the seeding at the moment.
Yeah, right now, if the playoffs started right now,
It's the
Philadelphia is
Falcons.
the 1 seed, Minnesota's the 2, Rams are the 3, Saints are the 4, Panthers are the 5, Falcons are 6.
So it'll be
First
Falcons, Rams, Panthers, Saints in the first.
So
in the-
then if the Falcons won, just if we're going all NFC South, Falcons won, they would play Philadelphia, and
If the Falcons won, if the Falcons win, we got to put the Falcons as the if. Not, I'm just messing with you.
No, I'm saying we're playing the scenario of all NFC South. Then the winner of the Panthers Saints would play the Vikings. So I mean the Panthers beat the Vikings already this year, and the Saints lost to them. But we're talking about like that was week 1, wasn't it? Well, like that was first Monday night game of the year.
Yes.
Lots of shit has changed since then.
Next
So, I
question.
mean, could happen.
Can Jacksonville really be a threat for making a Super Bowl appearance? David, you're smiling. Go.
Yes, actually. If something happens to New England and they don't get home field or an injury, yada yada yada, the issue is It's going to come down to Blake Bortles, and I don't care. I know I'm going to get some shit for this.
Done.
Bortles has had a fantastic month. I know a lot of Jacksonville fans in the forum are going to light me on fire, but they've played tomato cans. Okay, like they've played Cleveland, they've played the Colts, they played Seattle. Like, come on.
You went beyond your time limit, asshole.
I don't give a shit. It's Blake Bortles. It has to be addressed.
Defense travels.
It does, but does it travel in the snow when you're a bunch of Southern boys?
It's a good point. It's a good question.
Okay.
Every single stud for Jacksonville has played in the South. Ramsey, Campbell played in warm weather. Max played in warm weather.
Dante Fowler.
Yeah.
It is Southern boys who Fournette. I mean, it is Southern boys who like humidity. I don't even think that they have parkas. I don't think
we don't like. Fuck you that we don't like humidity. This shit sucks.
It's pretty terrible.
I know. We freeze when it's 53 outside. So.
Oh, I'm in fucking Georgia. I know, but I would rather it be cold than fucking 100% humidity. Fuck all
100%.
100. Next question. What are your guys' take on Houston making the finals? And here's another question in there too. Would they have a good shot at winning if they do? Let me give it to Jeremy.
Houston Rockets.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I think Houston's got a really. I don't think they can make the finals because I don't think they can beat Golden State. But if the hypothetical they beat Golden State, yeah, I think they could really win the finals. But they're not going to beat Golden State.
Take notes, David. That's how you stay within your time limit.
I'm going to move up. I'm
question.
moving up. I'm moving up in this company. Pressing the right people.
You're the highest position as it can be. So I don't know.
Okay, mister.
Do we have to call you that from now on, David or Jeremy?
Sure.
Okay, Mister.
Yeah,
Next question.
Mr. CEO, owner, founder, owner, operator, chief executive, highest ranking official. Yeah, let's go with that.
Lord Commander.
You guys know I hate the CEO title. I can't stand it. So
Yeah, I throw it in there sometimes just to.
I hate
get a
it.
little
No, that's
of
my
it.
title. That's my title. I got to deal with it.
Next question. Is Tampa tanking this season because of the leadership, or are they just tired of Dirk? Roy.
I don't think it's either. Dirk sucks. Winston is so far overrated, and Mike Smith is terrible. Yeah, this is saying something from the greatest coach in Falcons history. So,
You want to counter something over there, David?
I mean, just they have so much fucking talent, and I just it's Carter. It's the
I go
ownership.
back to my first point. Dirk fucking sucks.
It's fucking
I
awful.
watched Dirk do his fucking thing in Atlanta with Matt Ryan and Julio Jones and I mean, hell, they drafted Devontae Freeman, but he did jack shit his rookie year. The first year Kyle Shanahan is there, Devontae Freeman is a fucking Pro Bowler.
Well, I mean, Kyle Shanahan is pretty much the GOAT. So
I mean, Dirk Cutter is terrible.
He's
Mike
awful.
Smith, like I said, Mike Smith is their defensive coordinator. Tampa is basically Atlanta 5 years ago.
yeah, that's
No, I mean, no shit. Go over the roster. Brett
Yeah.
Grimes, Jacquez Rogers.
It's
Mike
built
Smith
very,
on the
very
coaching
similar.
staff. I mean, as soon as they get the right coach, they'll be all right.
The only difference is they don't have a slightly better version of Andy Dalton like Atlanta. does.
Holy shit.
Oh,
Okay, next question.
Tony Romo. He's fucking Tony Romo.
Next question. Jimmy G is doing his thing in San Francisco. So what chance do they have to beat LA at the end of the season, David?
first, it brings a tear to my eye that he's playing so well because it's our Jimmy. That dude is a good-looking quarterback. Having to beat LA, 0. Like, they're gonna get smashed by Jacksonville.
I like how every time you bring him up, it's like he's a great quarterback. Blah blah. He's so
good looking.
Yeah.
I mean, he's the Prince of Persia. Like,
Look, if you can say one thing, that if New England does nothing else this year, they did set the record for trading the most handsome quarterback ever. Like,
I mean, they had 2. You know, you can't keep 2.
I'm sorry, trading the most handsome backup quarterback ever.
And now he's a starter, and he's doing very well. And it's, you know, He learned from the best.
Next fucking question.
Although, though, if San Francisco signs him and keeps him, that's a fucking steal.
Yes.
Well, what else were they supposed to do?
Next question. What teams in the NFL do you think can have a turnaround next year, Roy?
Atlanta.
Oh, yeah, I mean, we're still alive. Goddamn it. I mean, I would think that maybe the Giants coming back healthy.
With
But
what quarterback?
Oh, I got one. San Francisco.
I mean,
Okay,
yeah,
sure.
sounds-
That's the popular pick. Go ahead, Bryson. Go chalk.
He's so
Yeah.
pretty, though. You can't deny that.
So
I mean-
the correct answer is
Oh,
Chicago. If I really think that Chicago is this year's version of LA. They are super talented defensively. They have a competent quarterback. They got Cohen. They got Howard. If they put a person not named John Fox there, I mean,
don't get too cocky because apparently one of the names being floated around for that job is Jeff Fisher.
I know, and I don't get it. He must have nudes on somebody. Like, I don't understand. Like, we literally see the difference between the Rams this year and the Rams last year.
If Chicago hires a competent coach, I could see that.
I like them. I really do. Like, they're grimy. They're gritty. And they got a talented defense.
I mean, how many teams in the league are a coach away? I mean, Tennessee.
3.
I mean, Tennessee's one of them.
Yes, Tennessee's one. Indy would be one with a healthy Luck.
Next question.
I need a lot
Luck's
more than that.
overrated. Luck's overrated.
Does the loss of their defensive coordinator hurt Bama? If so, how much? Jeremy.
No. Now, last year it really did suck because Lane Kiffin is a great offensive mind, but Nick Saban's a defensive mind. So Saban will get in there, he'll handle it. No big deal. I mean,
Now,
it
what
sucks.
about the injury that happened that I just read about on the scroller?
Yes, that's going to be crucial, especially because we've had linebacker problems all year long.
So
I
was
think
he a starter?
I'd have to look and see because I only saw we just lost someone.
I know it's a
Who-
linebacker.
Who did we lose today? Roy, did you? Not we. Who did Alabama lose? Roy? I got to go for Cecil Hurt's Twitter. Let's see. But I just saw it come across that we lost another linebacker, but I've been so tied up I didn't look at the details yet. So, but I'm not overly concerned. I'm looking on Cecil Hurt's Twitter feed right now.
Dylan Moses.
But I'm not – what I'm saying, though, going back to – like, if you go to last year, I think Nick Saban truly made a mistake last year by getting rid of Lane Kiffin and letting Sarkisian call that game. I mean, it's – obviously we lost the game because of that decision. So I don't
Fucking Sarkisian.
Yeah, I mean, and he's doing a wonderful job here in Atlanta, obviously, isn't he? But – all right, I got to stop.
Shut that shit up,
I'm
David.
sorry.
These next couple questions, actually last three, kind of are designed for you three. I'm just now realizing it here. So, Roy, I'm going to throw this at you. Is Seattle hated as much as New England?
More.
What?
More so. Yeah. I
Under
think
what planet?
strictly football. Maybe.
No, we're talking about seafood. Yes, football.
No, I'm saying as far no,
I'm
I
trying
mean
to say that
in
there's a lot of
general,
things
people
outside of Seattle.
people who don't know shit about football hate Seattle.
Well, their opinions don't matter.
I mean, so what? I mean, there's a lot of
Football only.
New
So,
England's more hated.
fuck New England, fuck Seattle. Patriots, Seahawks. Stick it football.
New England's
I
more
mean, I
hated.
hate the fucking Patriots. So I mean,
Why?
Well, that's personal vendetta, but
yeah. So
The Patriots are more hated than Seattle. Now, Seattle should be more hated than New England, but the reality of it is New England's New England. They're the empire. They're the most. They everybody hates them, and that's
Star
fine.
Wars reference.
So, but yeah, Seattle is garbage.
every
I'm not
time
even gonna
Jeremy drops a Star Wars reference in the podcast, I need the our editor to play like the beginning entrance to the Darth Vader entrance theme. Just every single time he drops.
All right. Next question. What are your thoughts on Roger Goodell coming back? Do you think it's bad or good for the game, David?
Why not me? I was waving.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, give it to Griggs. Hand off.
No, I mean,
No, hold on.
nah, let David go. Let
Yeah,
David.
because David personally loves this guy. Because I would really want to.
Okay, I mean, for the league in general, it's great for the fact that it's building every year, like revenue generating, and it's a business. Let's be honest. However, in the new CBA, they have got to get the punishment. They have to get a committee. They have to do something. That's the problem.
I mean, outside of New England and this year Dallas, nobody gives a fuck. I mean,
I disagree with that. I disagree.
Say that now until fucking Matt Ryan gets popped for something stupid.
No, I think Goodell is universally hated because he's
incompetent. Like
no, it's not. He's not incompetent. The NFL is booming. The NFL is doing amazing.
When it comes to the player fan,
he don't give a fuck about that. It's not his job. His job is to make money, to keep him away from lawsuits.
And make money he does.
Right. And that's the whole – like, nobody in his position would be popular. Like, look at this, okay? Look at – and David, you can't answer this, but Roy and Bryson can. Who's the most hated person in the Geeks and Gamers community on the main group of Facebook?
You.
Me.
Probably you, yeah.
Right. Why? Because I'm in charge, and
I could have said that.
So right, I'm just saying I'm the most hated person by default.
David, you just hate Jeremy in general.
I mean, it's like Stern, the NBA commissioner, the most hated fucker in the league for years.
Yeah,
the NBA is what it is now. I dislike fucking Stern, but the NBA is what it is now because of him.
But I will say, to Roy's point on our previous topic, I won't try to drag us out too much. Seattle kind of is more hated than New England because it's pure hatred, and New England's hated because they're the best. Like, Seattle's not hated because they're the best. They're hated because they're pieces of shit. So, I don't know.
Is that Jeremy speaking or from a football perspective?
I mean,
I'm saying, why do people hate New England? Why do people hate New England?
Because they win.
Because they win.
Fucking Susie fucking Homemaker in Kansas. Do you hate the Patriots? Do you hate the fucking Seahawks? More than likely, it's going to be the Seahawks because she may not know shit about football. The football fan, sure, Patriots.
All right, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to open
random outside the Seahawks.
Now, that was our last question anyways, and I just wanted to explode. There is one I will answer, though. It goes, who do you think will win the World Cup? Oh, Germany, of course. Okay,
yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I was gonna
go Costa Rica.
Whatever team David Beckham and Felipe are playing on.
Two people who don't play anymore.
Whoever that LaRock is betting on.
Alex Morgan's team.
Hey,
it's USA.
Hey.
Who does Pele play for?
Oh, is it Pele? Yeah.
Subway.
Yeah, really Subway. All right, so that will do it for our rapid fire. Great questions, everyone, and special shout out to everyone in the committee who submitted their questions for us. So now let's move on to our games of the week in the NFL. First up, we have a rematch here in the NFC South with Atlanta visiting New Orleans. What the fuck, David?
Are we not going to talk about last week at all?
What are you talking about?
Are you fucking shitting me?
No, I got that to the end. Okay, I'm saving that to the end.
Okay, all right. Okay. NFC South, fast forward. Come on.
Yeah, so keep your mouth shut over there. Where am I at? God damn it. Okay, so of course the Saints are predicted to win here because they're in New Orleans. Yada yada yada. But even as a Saints fan, you can never count the Falcons off in this matchup.
Fucking right.
Yeah, the Falcons could either sweep the Saints or New Orleans could get revenge on them. So who knows? So, Roy, I'll start with you. Give your thoughts on this matchup, and screw you, by the way.
You know who I'm fucking picking.
I said give me your thoughts on this matchup, not fucking make a prediction.
Again, to reiterate your point, it is a rivalry game.
Yeah.
It can always go either way. As we saw the last one was in doubt right up until the very end. It's always a good game, even if both teams are bad. It's always a good watch. I don't expect us to be as fortunate this time around as with the Kamara went down on the first drive during the last matchup. That helped out a lot. I also don't expect Matt Ryan to throw 3 fucking picks in this game either. So Matt Ryan was absolute shit in that first matchup.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he was absolutely terrible. I don't expect him to have another game like that. I think it's gonna be another one that's gonna be close. I think this one may actually be high scoring as opposed to the last one that was like 20-17 or something.
Mm-hmm. I mean, there's a lot on the line for Atlanta, especially because they're in the wild card. But if
Atlanta wins out, we're the division champ.
Yeah.
Whereas if Atlanta beats New Orleans here, then they drop. They're officially eliminated from being the NFC South champs.
Yeah, so there's a lot on the line on this game. Jeremy?
New Orleans has the better team. New Orleans is at home. Atlanta's in a pressured situation, so that means New Orleans is going to win.
I mean, New Orleans is kind of in a pressured situation too, though.
Yeah, but New Orleans is good in pressure situations.
Oh.
I mean, they weren't.
Wait, hold on. Are they playing?
I mean, look, I'm sorry. I'll take Drew Brees over Andy Dalton's on steroids.
Jesus Christ!
If they're playing on Fox, they'll probably win.
I will say, hey, can we point out the fact that we have 2 Alabama players playing at a very high level on opposing teams? Mark Ingram's doing great this year, and Julio Jones is Julio Jones. So it's a win-win for me either way. I don't have anything against Atlanta other than just calling them like it
Really?
is. Yeah, I don't. I really like Atlanta. I like
Sure
Matt
fucking
Ryan.
sounds like it, Andy.
I
Dalton.
love Ludacris.
I'm just saying, I don't have anything against them. Just because I call it like it is doesn't mean I have anything against them. I like Matt Ryan.
Oh, okay.
When was Andy Dalton ever top 5 or top 6 in yards, touchdowns, and
A couple of times he's been top 5 in yards.
I mean, last year he almost cracked 5,000.
Yeah.
I'm talking since he came into the league.
Well,
I mean,
almost.
I don't know. When's the last time he blew a 28-3 lead?
He's never up 28-3. Goddamn it!
Hey, so true fact. Since you
He's
guys
so
are talking about
mad.
leads, Andy Dalton has, besides last week, he's never been a double-digit underdog, ever.
And you know what that means? That means it's time. It's time to bring A.J. McCarron in. The writing's on the wall.
God,
So-
that's worse than
Well-
Tim Tebow.
Marvin
Are we
Lewis
talking about the
quit, and
fucking Bengals right now?
Okay, let's backtrack. So I just want to reiterate.
He is so mad.
I just want to reiterate to all the New Orleans fans listening that
I'm right here.
As great as Mark Ingram is playing, and he's balling out, because he's playing so well, next year he's a unrestricted free agent. So
He's coming to New England.
no, like hell, no. Anywho,
When's the last time Belichick paid a running back?
Exactly.
Corey Dillon?
Corey Dillon,
yeah.
and technically, since we're talking about Cincinnati, I mean, that's kind of how that worked. But, I mean, he really didn't pay. But anyway, I digress. The one matchup I want to look at is Marcus Lattimore on Julio. I don't give a shit about anything else.
I mean, that's going to be prime time.
That's what I want to see.
Okay, have you noticed they have some stats up with Julio facing New Orleans in the last 6 years, something like that. He's really not a threat whenever they play New Orleans at all. Like, he's only have 6 touchdowns. Only 6.
But
You say in the last 3 years?
Yeah, 3 years. Yeah, I'm sorry. Like, he's not.
6 touchdowns in 6 meetings. I mean, that's not. It's not terrible.
No, it's not
But, I mean,
terrible, but he's
that's
not
probably
really.
because New Orleans is getting double. I mean, he's probably getting doubled.
Yeah, but it's like, even though you look at it, oh, Julio Jones, la 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 la, but he's really not a big threat when he plays New Orleans, though.
God, look at Bryson throwing that homer stat in there. I like
I
it.
know. Like, you
How many-
get
how many
silent
of
for a
those-
second.
How many of those last 6 have they won, though?
I know, so that's what I was going to say. They got blown up by 40, but Julio only had 70 yards.
Yeah.
Yeah, and really too. Like, he hasn't really had a 100-yard receiving game when he plays New Orleans.
I like this, Bryson. I like this side of you.
Yeah, I'm a different person when I take off my glasses. Apparently.
Well, yeah, just dropping dimes that help your narrative.
Yeah.
To kind of fuck that narrative up a little bit.
Excuse me.
Let's
If we're going
move
to use narratives, you're required to make fun of me if you're going to mention
Oh no,
narratives.
but this isn't going to be a false one though.
Okay.
Ooh.
Julio's last. We'll go 6.
Okay.
5 receptions for 98 yards. That was the last matchup.
Ugh.
No touchdowns. 7 receptions for 96 yards. 1 touchdown. The first matchup last year, 1 reception for 16 yards. But I believe he left that one early, and we also won 45-32.
We're talking about Julio here.
The one before that, 9 catches for 149 yards.
Okay.
6 catches for 93 yards. 7 catches for 107.
But no touchdowns.
Yeah.
Actually, in those, no touchdown, only 1 touchdown. In all those matchups, only 1 touchdown. So they're keeping him out of the end zone.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's getting yards, but it's like he's not a big touchdown threat. They rely on other people.
But I mean, they're riding Julio to the red zone and then giving it to Freeman. I mean, but in the last seven matchups, we're 5-2. So
okay.
I mean,
it was 7 matchups. I don't know why I put
Lattimore, Julio. That's all I care about. Next question.
All right, next one we have an AFC East matchup between the Bills and the Patriots. Hopefully the Bills
number 1 seed. Patriots.
Yes, whatever.
For now.
Well, This is probably the most important contest of Week 16 because it's a battle it's pretty much gonna shape up the AFC playoff.
The most important, the NFC South matchup we just talked about that determined the NFC South champion versus the fucking 6th seed in the playoffs and the number 1 seed. Come on.
So we were talking about NFC, and now I'm talking about AFC.
This ain't the most important. It's most important in the AFC matchup, maybe.
Yes, that's what I'm talking about.
You guys are worked up this week. I dig it, man.
I know.
You guys are already getting ready.
I've got 2 weeks worth of energy built up here.
Like if you literally would have let me finish my sentence, it says AFC playoff standings.
Fuck no, we're not finishing sentences here.
Basically, if the Patriots win, they lock up the NFC East. Whoopie-doo, yada yada. So basically, David, what are your thoughts on this one? How many people are going to get power bombed in the parking lot? David, unmute your mic.
Yeah, you know what? I'm going to take this one because David didn't unmute his mic. So, anyway, so here's what's going to happen. I think at least 7 people are going to be power bombed in the parking lot because that's what the Buffalo Bills fans do.
What's the over-under on flaming tables?
Yeah, I heard that. Did you see last week?
He caught on fire.
It was unbelievable. But anyway,
to
this game,
cold do you have to be?
I do feel like that this game's going to be really close. I do feel Buffalo's going to come in and really, really put it to New England. New England's had this whole thing this year where they play down to their competition. They don't play with a lot of energy sometimes. And David's getting so pissed right now.
There's 6 points allowed.
What do you mean?
It's going to be fun.
What do you play down the competition? It's a divisional game.
Did you see the Miami game? That was a divisional game.
It's in Miami.
They didn't even look like they wanted to be there.
It's in fucking. I don't know what's in Miami. I don't know I don't know, and I can't explain it. There's Tom is 7-9 in Miami. I don't know.
Okay,
I thought we were talking about the parking lot stuff here.
No, man, stop power bombing it. It's in Foxborough. Hey, Patriots don't have to go anywhere.
Okay, first of all, they can power bomb anywhere. Okay.
The Bills Mafia doesn't travel.
I'm surprised you don't know what. I'm surprised you know what a power bomb is. To be honest with you.
I mean, I used to love wrestling back.
Yeah, he watched. Yeah, he watched.
So you actually were cool at one point.
Oh man, in middle school? Oh yeah.
Hey, man, can we get that version of LaRock at the Geeks and Gamers community? It would be a lot better to have that guy.
Well, you know. Then I hate puberty and I like football, so whatever.
Anyway, point is I do think this is going to be a close game. I think Buffalo's going to come in. I think they're going to play really strong. I think New England's lost 2 games this year at home, which is very uncharacteristic. I don't really know what's going on with that. David, maybe you can elaborate on that a little more. Why is New England
Their last 2 losses was fucking week 4.
I'm sorry. Was that this season?
Week 1 and week 4. It's a completely different team.
Wait a minute. Was that this season?
It's a completely different.
When's the last time they lost 2 home games in a season?
Years ago, eons.
Right. So that's what I'm saying.
But the fact that it's a completely different team than it was week 1. That's very apparent.
It is, but I'm saying I think New England didn't play really great last week considering Brown was out of the game, and New England still didn't play great last week. Won a tough game, and everybody's been saying Pittsburgh's way overrated. Yet Pittsburgh played pretty well. So it's
Pittsburgh does what Pittsburgh does in the last 30 seconds.
I'm saying,
hold on. Don't bring that up just yet. We're gonna save that to the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
But anyway, I want to make my prediction. My prediction is New England's going to win a close game, but it's going to come down to the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter.
I think it's going to be very low scoring. I think Mike Gilsley is going to get activated, especially with the injury to Burkhead. He's going to rush for $110, 2 scores. And I swear, if I see Gronk run a crossing route over the middle under any circumstance, I will lose my shit.
Why?
He should be bubble wrapped from now until
Because
January.
of what happened in the last time they played?
But I mean,
Buffalo.
even if it's not Buffalo, he better not do it against the Jets.
Yeah, they're gonna take.
Week 17.
Somebody's probably gonna take a shot at him after what he did.
Oh yeah, of course.
But that's what LaRock's saying. We can't lose Gronk at this point. Gronk is too we lost Gronk last year, still won the Super Bowl. That's because we had Edelman, we had some other pieces.
Different pieces.
We can't lose Gronk this year. Brady's great. He can't. I don't think he can pull it off without a Gronk this year.
Without Gronk, no.
Yeah, we saw New England without Gronk in Miami, and it was fucking ugly.
Roy.
I do think I think it is going to be close as well. Buffalo is going to be playing with a chip on their shoulder because of what happened the last time. Buffalo's fighting for their playoff life here. They're trying to end in that drought. Right now, they're tied with Baltimore and Tennessee. This just feels like one that Buffalo could steal. It feels that way, especially, I mean, with New England kind of surviving last week because Ben just doing Ben things. I'm also going to – who the fuck does that? But we're going to save that. We're going to save it.
Yep.
It wouldn't surprise me if Buffalo stole one. I fully expect New England to win. But it would not surprise me if it came down to like a last second field goal that Buffalo kicks in as time expires. So,
all right, so let's move on to our next one here. We have Seattle at Dallas. This game has a lot on the line because basically whoever loses this game is eliminated from the playoffs. Now, Jeremy, the Cowboys are going to have Elliott back in this game. So does Dallas win here, or is Seattle just going to pull it off or fall out?
I think Dallas, because of Ezekiel Elliott coming back, I think Dallas is going to steamroll them. I mean, we know how much Elliott means to that team, and we know how many injuries Seattle has. And Seattle got absolutely annihilated last week. They are reeling right now. They are tanking so hard. It's almost over in Seattle, thankfully. And I think Dallas is going to blow the doors off. I think Prescott's going to play well because he's going to have his safety net back. So I look for Dallas to put it to Seattle.
David.
Dallas. They're going to get a shit ton of Zeke. That's all that matters. If they couldn't stop Gurley, I mean, Dallas's O-line, and plus they need it. Seattle's done. They have nothing to play for except for pride. And they're just
still not technically mathematically eliminated.
Yeah, and neither is the fucking Dolphins, right? Just it's over. Just too many injuries, too many. I mean, the shit fucking Earl Thomas said on Twitter. Like, why are you gonna call out Bobby Wagner? Like, it was.
It wasn't. Didn't Earl Thomas say it in the locker room? Then Wagner responded on Twitter.
Yeah. Just don't like that's. I mean,
Pete Carroll's MO, man.
It is.
That's Pete Carroll's. That's his culture.
But I mean, as long as Sean Lee is back for Dallas, I mean, he's a game changer, and Dallas should run away with it easily.
Depending on the results of the Atlanta New Orleans game, this game very well may not mean shit. Because if Atlanta beats New Orleans,
it's true.
If Atlanta beats New Orleans, Seattle and Dallas are both mathematically eliminated.
Yeah,
Atlanta clinches their playoff spot if they beat New Orleans. All Atlanta has to do is win one of the next two, and we're in. While the other two they have to win.
They have to win out.
So whoever loses this, if Atlanta loses, whoever loses is done. They're out. So I think it could be a very intense game, simply because you do have two teams kind of playing for their playoff lives here. We know Seattle doesn't do well.
So is this basically like the game of the week per se?
No, because I mean, depending on the earlier result, it may mean nothing.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
New Orleans and Atlanta's game of the week.
Yeah.
I mean, because in that Atlanta New Orleans game, if New Orleans loses, they can't win the NFC South anymore.
Yeah, isn't isn't it if they beat Atlanta, they technically win it yet? Or
Also, they essentially clinch.
yeah,
You know,
okay,
if,
okay.
if New Orleans wins, they're clinched the NFC South. If Atlanta wins, then next week's matchup with Atlanta and Carolina is basically the NFC South championship game, which has happened like twice in the last 4 years now between those two.
Yeah.
Isn't it great that like we're talking about playoff situations and there's a structure and it's black and white? Like a month ago, we were having this conversation, and it's like, well, if like the stars align and they lose by 30,
I mean, well, we never talk about what's a catch and what's not a catch in college football. So
Because apparently all you need is 1 foot.
yeah, it's you know the amateur rules.
But anyways, we'll get to that. It's like it's slowly building up here, and I'm trying to restrain you guys.
I can't take it.
Let's go to our final matchup. We have the Rams visiting the Titans. Both of these teams are in the wild card spot, and the Titans really need to win here to stay alive.
Actually, the Rams are NFC West champs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scratch that. Delete.
But yeah, Titans still need it though.
Yeah, the Titans really still need it. Roy, give me your thoughts on this one.
The Titans had a tough one. They lost a tough one last week. I think the wheels may come off this week. I know some of the growing Titan fan base in sports wars isn't going to want to hear that. I think this is the week where it comes off. The wheels come off. That head coach is he's as good as fired.
Mike Mularkey.
I hope to God they don't bring in Jeff Fisher. They've already been burned by him once. I'm actively campaigning for Jeff Fisher not to have a fucking job. I will actively root against anyone who hires this fucker. Tennessee's going to lose this week. The Rams are going to keep rolling. I think a loss here wouldn't a loss here eliminate Tennessee?
Depends on what Baltimore does. They might jump up.
Baltimore and Buffalo, I think. So, and Buffalo's playing in one of the shittier games this week. They are.
Is that a joke?
Who are they playing?
Buffalo?
Oh no, Baltimore. No, I said Baltimore's playing one of the shittier games this week. They're playing Indianapolis.
Yeah.
So they'll know what they're Buffalo and Tennessee will know what they're playing for by game time Sunday because that Baltimore game's on Saturday.
Such bad wild card teams.
David?
Cannon fodder.
Mike Mularkey is just fucking awful. It bothers me because Mariota is so talented. I mean,
Mariota.
The kid is Marcus, whatever. The kid's talented and they have weapons, but they continue to run 2 running backs in I formation on 2nd and 8. And
they have all the pieces to run some fucking
to run a bootleg. Just run a read option, just something to get him out of the pocket. And granted, he's been a little bit dinged up, but that defense isn't good. Aaron Donald should win Defensive Player of the Year. I'm pretty sure I called that week 1, by the way. Not Miami. McVay. They should drop 40 on Tennessee.
I think Tennessee's going to win this game only because I think they have a lot more motivation coming into it. They've been super inconsistent. I mean, there's games they should have won. They don't win. I don't really understand what they're doing, but they clearly have the talent. If they
bad coaching.
So yeah, they have the talent for sure. But yeah, I do think because I think the Rams, they've clinched. Obviously they have something to play for, but I think Tennessee
home field.
Playing. Yeah, I know, but Tennessee has a lot more to play for under the circumstances. I feel like so. I'm going to go Tennessee in a tight one.
Okay,
and I continue to be wrong about Mariota. So
here's our final topic for the night. Now it's been kind of fueling over here, especially David over there. He's kind of smiling, gritting his teeth over there.
The Rock's been pacing for 30 minutes waiting to get to this.
Yes, I know. So, what is the definition of a touchdown?
Oh, you mean a catch?
A catch for a touchdown.
It's pretty black and white.
From what I understand is once you break the play into the end zone, it's a touchdown.
Only if you're a runner.
Because I've seen running backs essentially drop the ball once to get to the pylon right there.
Here is the actual rule. Rule 8, Section 1, Article 3, Item 1.
Speak slowly so the
Holy
public
shit,
can hear
man!
you.
You sound really smart right
I
now.
know.
Oh,
Like,
throwing
A
numbers.
player is considered to be going to the ground if he does not remain upright long enough to demonstrate that he is clearly a runner. If a player goes to the ground in the act of catching a pass with or without contact by an opponent, he must maintain control of the ball until after his initial contact with the ground, whether in the field of play or the end zone. If he loses control of the ball and the ball touches the ground before he regains control, the pass is incomplete.
Hallelujah, brother.
That is directly from the fucking NFL rule book. It is black and white, as clear as
Preach it.
day. The fucker didn't catch the ball.
Can I get an
He was
amen?
untouched. If he would have fallen backwards into the end zone, then every Steelers fan wouldn't have cried out in agony as the fucker dropped the ball. He clearly put the ball on the ground. That is not the ref's fault. It is not the Patriots' fault, as much as it fucking pains me to say that. It is fucking Hunter, whatever his goddamn name is, fault.
Jesse James.
He didn't secure the ball. I heard about Belichick's little fucking rule about anybody who reaches for the end zone. Fuck all that. Secure the goddamn ball. He went untouched. If he falls backwards into the end zone, we're not having this conversation.
Well, there's a lot of reasons. There's a lot of reasons that we wouldn't be having this conversation. This comes down to a few simple things. It involves New England, and it involves playoffs, and that's fine.
And you guys know, I'm
okay, hold on.
Person to defend anything New England related.
If this would have been the Jets and the fucking Chargers, or not even Chargers, if this has been like the Jets and the Browns, nobody would care.
Okay,
nobody cares.
Let me ask you guys this. Okay, let's just look at this as just at a football point of view, minus the Patriots, minus the Steelers. Let's just look at it as a player, just trying to make a catch for the touchdown. Okay, so make it.
We're not honestly. We're not even having this conversation. Mm-hmm. If Ben Roethlisberger doesn't throw the dumbest fucking pass a multiple Super Bowl winner has ever thrown in the history of football.
Or if, what's his name could intercept the wide open pass Tom Brady threw to him. Or there's just so many scenarios. It comes down to, the game didn't end because of this play. It ended because of bad execution after the fact. I mean, you still had plenty of chances to win the game. You just didn't do it.
Keep going.
But it comes down to this.
I need to see your fucking hands, LaRock.
It comes down to this.
Wait your fucking turn.
By the letter of the rule, the call was 100% correct. If you want to dispute the rule, that's a conversation you can have. But you can't say the game was rigged or the Patriots got away with anything. That's not what happened. You're simply making bad excuses for your boy Ben Roethlisberger, making a horrible decision. You're making that there is no way that you can argue based on the rule that the refs made the wrong call, because they didn't. It was the right call. Bad rule, maybe. Right call.
Who the fuck triple pumps into fucking quadruple coverage?
So that's the first quarterback I've ever seen pump fake in the same direction that he's actually throwing it to.
And I mean, we're talking about the guy that lost to Tim Tebow in the playoffs. So,
anyways, continue on with
it
this.
It took how long to get a Tim Tebow reference in this episode?
I really thought we were going to go.
Yeah, we're almost there. We're to the end, too. We have 10 minutes.
Almost made it. Shit.
No, but yeah, it was a horrible decision on Roethlisberger's part. And not only that, to make the decision even worse, then the motherfucker goes out and starts throwing his coaches under the bus after the game.
So great.
Great. What are you doing? And then he does a radio interview, and he completely dials it back and says what he should have said the first time. It's
made it worse.
Wow, man, you have really screwed this up, Ben. You have really screwed this up so bad.
But, I mean, it's a Mike Tomlin coach team, so, I mean, right. I don't know what you expect.
Right. It's hilarious. I think it's hilarious. So, yeah, I don't – if you're a Pittsburgh fan, be mad at the rule. Don't be mad at the call.
Or be mad at Mike Tomlin for not stopping Gronkowski for the entire second half.
Right.
Or be mad at Roethlisberger for throwing that dumbass pass.
Or be mad at the defensive player for not catching a wide-open interception. Because, again, if you get Tom Brady –
mad in general.
Yeah, if you give Tom Brady any kind of second opportunity, you're pretty much done.
It's over.
The man don't make mistakes. When he makes one, you better capitalize. Because if you don't, you're pretty much done. So I mean, there's so many scenarios you can point to.
I know,
And,
like I said, I get the rule, but like every time I look at it, just like I'm one of those ones that's kind of like,
But we know the rule.
Yes, I know the rule. I get that, but
look, here's the best way to answer it. If I'm a Patriots fan and that exact scenario happens with Gronk, I'm not mad because I know the rule. It's that simple. I would not feel that we got ripped off or screwed. I would be like, I hate that fucking rule, but it's the right call based on the rules.
Okay,
Hell, it happened 2 weeks ago with Minnesota at halftime with Adam Thielen.
Okay, let me ask
You
you. Let me ask you this, because this is always something that's always been kind of confusing to me too as a football fan. Okay, so our running back runs into the end zone.
That's different.
No.
You're a runner.
No.
Go
This is something totally different that I've always been confused about ever since. Okay, like a goal line stand, like on the 1 yard line, a running back punches in, sticks his arm out, and it gets pushed back, and they call it a touchdown.
It just has to break the plane.
It just has to break the plane. So
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean, but that's the same thing as a first down. Like you forward progress.
Okay,
You know?
so and that's also was confusing me about that catch too, because he broke the plane. I understand it hit the ground and he lost it, but it's like I've always been under the mindset, okay, he broke the plane, cool, he dropped it, oh, touchdown, whatever.
But he wasn't a runner.
Here's what's crazy: is if he turns, sticks the ball out, and then snatches it right back,
Touchdown.
Okay.
Yeah,
Like I
he
said,
sticks it out, and as he's falling to the ground, the ball hits the ground and comes out.
You have to survive the ground.
Yes.
yeah, because like I said, I've seen running backs run to the corner and pretty much like touch it, and then like they're just dropping halfway through their.
Oh, but Michael Vick has got like a highlight reel full of him diving to the pylon,
Yep.
Yeah.
the ball out, and touching the pylon. And as he's touching the pylon, the ball falls out of his hand.
All I have to do is crack it.
Yeah, that used to be one of the thing that would make me the fucking crazy about Michael Vick is he carried the ball like a loaf of bread. And it was, I mean, a defensive player with his head up just slapped the ball out. His hands weren't, we're not talking about a guy with huge hands here. I mean, it didn't take shit to cause Michael Vick to fumble. But all it has to do is break the plane. Runners' rules are different than a receiver's rules.
See, I think that's why a lot of people are kind of mad about that, because they're looking at it, my point of view too. It's like, oh, they broke the plane, it's a touchdown, yada yada yada. But then you got somebody who's like really depth into the rule, and it's like, no, that's not how it happened, kind of thing.
And it's not the first time it's happened. I mean,
yeah.
Go back to Dez. Go back to Calvin Johnson. Like, it's the rule.
Yeah, and I saw that too. That everybody was going back to the whole Dez thing too. When this happens, like, okay, if that wasn't a catch, then
Let me ask you guys a question. Do you think the Dez situation is worse than this one with Jesse James?
I think this one was more worse.
Ask me in 3 weeks.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it depends.
No. Forget
Dez
the fallout
situation
of it. I'm
happened-
saying specifically on the individual situations. What do you think was like? I think I think you could call that a catch.
Are you talking about the catch in general, or
Yes, the
as
catch,
like?
not the fallout.
Okay.
I honestly, I'd have to watch the Dez replay again. But like as far as like circumstances go, I mean, yeah, I know this one was deciding the number one seed.
Yeah,
Essentially,
no, I'm not worried about all that. I'm just
Okay.
saying the specific plays.
I'd have to watch the Dez replay
Was
again.
Dez worse?
Yeah, which one
because
would
it was
you
a playoff,
which,
right?
Which no, I don't care about any of the
Just the actual
external
play.
factors, just the actual play. Which one do you think is more close? Which one would you consider closer to a catch? I
Dez.
think Dez is closer to a
Dez.
catch. So
I mean,
and I
and
still,
that,
I
to
still
me,
think
that's what the crazy thing was. Is like immediately watching the replay of this past one, there was no interpretation for me. Like I saw it and it was like, okay, that's incomplete.
Yeah.
Immediately,
I mean, the ball was on the ground.
Oh, let's check this angle. Let's check that angle. So I guess I somewhat agree, because I remember with the Dez, quote unquote Dez catch or non-catch. It was kind of you wanted to go back and kind of examine it, like, okay, where was his foot? Where was his hand?
right.
With this, it was immediate. Like as soon as the play happened, I was like, okay, that looks like a touchdown. And then they showed the replay, and they're like, oh, they're reviewing it. I was like, no, that's not a catch. As soon as you saw his left hand
Yep.
go off to the side and his right hand is basically on the side of the ball, it's not a catch. To me, there was less of a debate about this one. That's why the outrage to me was hilarious, because I didn't understand. Like, it was clear to me.
And
Right.
I had a conversation today. Somebody was like, well, then how do you improve it? I don't know. You can't make it where as soon as you have two hands on it, it's a catch because then you're going to have 13 fumbles. I mean,
Right.
that makes it impossible. And then you can't also have, as soon as it crosses, it's a touchdown because obviously the instance that we have here. So I don't know how you fix it going forward. I mean,
I'm fine with the rule as it stands.
I like it.
There's a reason the NFL hasn't fixed it because they love this shit. How many podcasts in the last week are talking about this?
Yeah.
How many TV shows are talking about it? There's no reason to fix it.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I mean they're complaining about a rule that's been there for however long.
What, 10 years?
Yeah,
I mean,
there's
no reason to fix it.
Yeah,
I'm just saying the people that are complaining about it wouldn't be complaining about it if the situation was in reversed and their team benefited.
I mean,
from it.
I mean, honestly, I have no dog in this fight. I'm not a Pats fan. I'm not a Steelers fan.
Yeah, neither am I.
I dislike both equally. It wasn't a fucking catch.
Right.
Yeah, but like I said, what we're talking about, I'm looking at it for how I just told you guys, and I'm debating with you guys who know the rule book to a T. So that's why I can see there's a lot.
Can I throw a wrench into it real quick, Bryson?
Sure.
What do you guys feel about the Derek Carr situation and how fumble through the end zone, automatic touchback for the opposing team?
Yeah.
I do think that I don't like that rule.
I
So
mean, it's another one that it's.
I just don't
forever.
think. I don't think you should lose complete possession. I mean, when a ball is fumbled out of bounds before and you're not in the end zone, and you keep the ball where it went out of bounds. But because it goes out of bounds in the end zone, you lose possession.
Yeah,
That just
I don't
seems
like that at all.
Dream.
I mean, it's been like that. I mean,
So where does the ball go?
Well, I think that's where you could play into it. So, I mean, if I'm running the ball and I fumble it and it goes out of bounds on the 1 yard line, then we get the ball on the 1 yard line. But if that ball that I fumbled takes an awkward bounce and it goes instead of out of bounds on the
that's
it goes out of
football.
bounds.
Know what to do.
Yeah, then instead of bouncing out of the one, it goes and bounces out of the end zone. All of a sudden, we lose possession. That is crazy. So what
I mean, the way to solve that, hold on to the ball.
Well, yeah, but again, that's
So
go ahead,
defensively, if let's say Todd Gurley's running down the sideline, okay, and he's breaking away, and all of a sudden Trufant's coming at an angle, and while he's running, he pops it up. We see it happen every time.
Mm-hmm.
And what happens if it pops it and goes forward? I mean, the defense made a smart, alert play, and the ball's going to be right there back on the one.
Okay, yeah, I get what you're talking about now.
No, but I don't think the ball should necessarily be on the one if it goes out of the end zone. But I think you should. Maybe you can compromise and put it on the 20, but you don't lose possession.
But I mean, what is it?
So it's like you're penalized,
but you fumbled
it. But you're penalized 20 yards instead of the loss of possession simply because of 1 inch of where it goes
honestly,
out of bounds.
how excited? I mean, you're talking about taking it out of. I mean, it doesn't happen often. First off, but you're talking about taking out a major. I mean, imagine the swing.
How does that game end if Carr fumbles the ball out of the end zone and Dallas doesn't get possession? So you give the ball back to the Raiders on the 20. That's an exciting finish.
Are you going to give it is it going to be first and goal from the 20?
Whatever. No, a loss of down. You take a loss of down, and then the ball, if it goes out of bounds on the end zone, and nobody recovers, then the offense gets it back on the 20. Loss of down. So even if you were on the 5 yard line,
I just don't feel like it happens enough to warrant a full on rule change. Because I mean, what happened? I mean, we've seen it happen with one of the more famous examples, Leon Lett in the Super Bowl.
Yeah, touchback.
I mean, and that the swing and momentum. I mean, obviously the Bills were already getting blown out, but I mean, Don Beebe, the hustle play of the century. Yeah. Chases them down.
I get it. There's positives and negatives.
So I mean,
Bryce just want us to wrap it up though.
So basically, to sum it all up, if it happens more often, then maybe you can look into the rules. But if it happens once in a blue moon like that, then whatever with it, just suck it up and move on, kind of thing.
I just like the swings.
Yes, I do. All right, so that was a really good debate, guys, and that would conclude it for this episode of the Sports Wars podcast. So, Jeremy, we'll start off with you, buddy, and go around and do some shout-outs here.
Shout out to the Star Wars community for being so stupid and idiotic online and arguing over The Last Jedi. It's pretty amazing. These people, Star Wars fans are nuts, and I'm a Star Wars fan. But The Last Jedi has just been super divisive. That's all I can think about and talk about. But I do want to give a shout-out to the Sports Wars community. Thank you guys for listening, downloading, watching on YouTube every week, interacting with us. That's the reason we do this, and we want to continue to see the support grow. So thank you guys so much for that. Shout out to the Geeks and Gamers community. Hope everyone has a good Christmas. And I'm going to toss it over to Roy.
I actually want to give a shout out to Coach Kirby Smart on this early recruiting day in college football. The man's supposed to be preparing for a college football playoff game, and he just goes out and lands the number one recruiting class in the country. Apparently, Georgia has landed 7 of the top 30 recruits. That is the most in a single class for any school in the ESPN 300 era. Kirby is putting in work. Alabama, we're coming.
Ooh.
Whatever.
Man.
And David, if you're wondering, that's equivalent to having 2 first-round picks.
Yeah, I got it.
Oh, no,
Hopefully they translate.
No. 7 guys in the top 30, that's equivalent to having fucking 7 first-round picks.
And so you'd probably, with 7 first-round picks, you could still end up being the Cleveland Browns because, they have that.
It'd be the equivalent of being it'd be the equivalent of having 7 first-round picks and making it to the playoffs the year before.
David, any shout-outs to give, buddy?
Shout out. I know he doesn't listen, but shout out to Lane Kiffin yesterday. I put a small Christmas wager on Florida Atlantic. The spread was 24, and Lane, being the douchebag he is, runs up the score and blows Akron out of the building.
Lane Kiffin is awesome.
He's awesome. I mean, it's fantastic.
Has anybody heard
LeVar Ball?
the,
Lane Kiffin's the LeVar Ball of college football.
Oh, God.
Didn't Lane Kiffin didn't he just sign a 10-year extension?
10 year.
Yep.
At Florida. What's the over-under that he coaches that out?
Oh, he
1
won't
year.
coach that out. He won't coach that out. So,
No, but I mean, he's great. I mean, he knows what the spreads are, and he just blew Akron out of the building. Fantastic stuff. So, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, he probably bets on those games too. Like, I need to beat him by this much. Anyway, so special shout out to all you guys, my co-hosts, I guess you want to call you guys, wherever the fuck you guys are. Shout out to everybody in the Sports Wars community and Geeks and Gamers. Merry Christmas to everyone. Have a safe and happy holidays. And join us here next week as we continue to discuss sports happening all around us. And we'll see you guys.